In the last episode, humanity teetered on the brink of collapse, ravaged by environmental disaster and societal upheaval. The once blue skies were now a hazy gray, and the air reeked of smoke and desperation. The few remaining cities were walled off, struggling to survive against the raging storms and marauding gangs. But then Ambrose Wynter appeared, a vision of hope in a world gone mad. With his razor-sharp mind and silver tongue, he rallied the scattered remnants of humanity, forging unlikely alliances with marginalized species and equipping them with cutting-edge technology. The effect was nothing short of miraculous. Humanity began to thrive, expanding into the galaxy with a newfound sense of purpose. I still remember the day I met Ambrose, standing on the ruined streets of Old New Eden. His eyes burned with a fire that seemed to pierce the very soul, and his words dripped with a conviction that was impossible to ignore. "What's the point of rebuilding if we're just going to repeat the same mistakes?" he had said, his voice carrying across the rubble-strewn streets. As I looked into his eyes, I knew I was about to embark on a journey that would change the course of human history. The memories came flooding back as I stood on the weathered deck of our flagship, gazing out into the starry expanse. The hum of engines and the chatter of alien species created a cacophony of sound that was both familiar and strange. I felt a pang of nostalgia wash over me, mixed with a sense of trepidation. What lay ahead for humanity? Ambrose's voice cut through my reverie, his words laced with a sense of urgency. "We need to talk," he said, his eyes locked on mine. "The Galactic Council is getting restless. They're not happy about our rapid expansion." I raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "What's their problem? We've done nothing but help the galaxy prosper." Ambrose's expression turned grim. "They see us as a threat, a disruptor to the status quo. They think we're moving too fast, that we're upsetting the balance of power." I snorted. "The balance of power? They're the ones who've been strangling the galaxy with their petty squabbles and bureaucratic red tape." Ambrose's gaze never wavered. "I agree with you, but we need to be cautious. The Council has teeth, and they're not afraid to use them. We need to tread carefully if we're going to avoid a war." As I scanned the horizon, I spotted a fleet of ships emerging from the depths of space. The insignia on their hulls read Chi Rene, a notoriously aggressive species that had long been at odds with humanity. "It seems the Council has sent an envoy," Ambrose said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "How thoughtful of them." The air was thick with tension as the Chi Rene flagship drew alongside ours. I could feel the weight of history on my shoulders, the fate of humanity hanging precariously in the balance. The comm system crackled to life, and a low, gravelly voice spoke, its words translated in real time by our AI. "This is Ambassador Kaler Theron of the Chi Rene Empire. We come in peace, bearing a message for Ambrose Wynter." Ambrose stepped forward, his eyes locked on the viewscreen. Listening, Ambassador." The silence that followed was oppressive, heavy with foreboding. I could sense the weight of the galaxy's future hanging precariously in the balance. And then, in a voice that sent shivers down my spine, Ambassador Theron spoke. "You have three options, Ambrose Wynter. Surrender your claims to the outer colonies, abandon your research into forbidden technologies, and agree to a strict regimen of monitoring and oversight, or face the consequences." The words hung in the air like a challenge, and I knew in that moment that our journey was far from over. In fact, it was only just beginning. As I looked at Ambrose, I saw a fire burning within him, a flame that seemed to fuel his every move. I knew that he would not back down, that he would fight to the end to protect humanity's chance at a brighter future. But at what cost? The question echoed through my mind as the Chi Rene ambassador waited for a response, his patience wearing thin. The galaxy held its breath, poised on the cusp of chaos, and I knew that I was about to embark on a journey that would take me to the very limits of human endurance. The darkness that lurked in the shadows of the galaxy seemed to be coalescing, taking shape as a force that threatened to consume us all. I could feel it, a presence that seemed to watch us with cold, calculating eyes. Ambrose's voice cut through my thoughts, his words laced with a sense of determination. "We'll need to gather our allies to prepare for the worst. We can't let the Council dictate our fate." I nodded, a sense of resolve settling within me. We were in this together, humanity and its allies, united against the forces of oppression. As the stars whizzed by like diamonds on velvet, I felt a sense of awe at the sheer scale of our endeavor. We were no longer just a species, we were a force, a presence that seemed to be reshaping the galaxy in our image. But with great power comes great responsibility, and I knew that our actions would have consequences. The question was, what would be the cost of our ambition? The silence that followed was oppressive, heavy with foreboding. I knew that we stood at the threshold of a new era, one that would be marked by conflict and challenge. But I also knew that we were ready. We had Ambrose and we had each other. Together, we would face whatever lay ahead, our hearts burning with a fire that would drive us forward, no matter the cost. The darkness closed in around us, a vast and seemingly endless expanse of stars and space. But I was not afraid. I knew that we would find a way, that we would overcome the obstacles that lay in our path. For we were humanity and we would not be defeated. The ambassador's voice cut through my thoughts, his words a cold and calculated threat. "You have 3 days to respond, Ambrose Wynter. After that we will take measures." The comm system went dead, leaving us to ponder the weight of our decision. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and I knew that our choice would change the course of history forever. As I looked at Ambrose, I saw a man who was driven by a vision, a man who would stop at nothing to achieve his goals. And I knew that I would follow him to the ends of the galaxy, no matter the cost. The stars seemed to twinkle like diamonds in the distance, a reminder of the vast and mysterious universe that lay before us. And I knew that we would explore it, that we would claim our place among the stars. For we were humanity and we would not be defeated. The thought echoed through my mind as the galaxy seemed to hold its breath, poised on the cusp of chaos. And I knew that our journey was far from over. In fact, it was only just beginning. Ambrose's eyes locked onto mine, his gaze burning with a fierce determination. "We'll respond to their demands," he said, his voice low and even. "But we'll do it on our own terms." I nodded, a sense of resolve settling within me. We couldn't let the Council dictate our fate, not after all we'd been through. The silence that followed was heavy with implications. We knew that our response would have consequences, that it would set us on a collision course with the Council, but we were ready. We'd come too far to back down now. As I turned to leave, a faint hum caught my attention. It was a subtle vibration, one that seemed to emanate from the very fabric of space itself. I turned to Ambrose, a sense of unease creeping up my spine. "What's that?" Ambrose's expression turned grim. "I'm not sure, but I think it's a warning. A signal from an unknown source, one that's trying to tell us something." I felt a shiver run down my spine as I gazed out into the vast expanse of space. Who was behind the signal and what did they want us to know? The question swirled in my mind like a vortex, drawing me in with an otherworldly force. As I looked at Ambrose, I saw a man who was driven by a vision, a man who would stop at nothing to achieve his goals. And I knew that I would follow him, no matter the cost. The stars seemed to twinkle like diamonds in the distance, a reminder of the vast and mysterious universe that lay before us. And I knew that we would explore it, that we would claim our place among the stars. For we were humanity and we would not be defeated. The thought echoed through my mind as I turned to leave, the hum of the signal fading into the background of my consciousness. I knew that our journey was far from over. In fact, it was only just beginning. As I walked away, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched, that unseen eyes were monitoring our every move. The darkness closed in around us, a vast and seemingly endless expanse of stars and space. But I was not afraid. I knew that we would find a way, that we would overcome the obstacles that lay in our path. For we were humanity and we would not be defeated. The words echoed through my mind like a mantra, a reminder of our resolve and determination. As I disappeared into the shadows, I knew that our journey was far from over. In fact, it was only just beginning. The universe beckoned, its secrets waiting to be uncovered. And I knew that we would uncover them. No matter the cost. The hum of the signal lingered in my mind, a constant reminder of the unknown forces watching us from the shadows. I couldn't shake the feeling that our every move was being monitored, that our fate hung precariously in the balance. As I walked back to my quarters, the silence between the stars seemed to grow thicker, like a palpable presence that wrapped around me. I felt like I was being pulled towards some hidden truth, one that only the universe knew. I tried to push the feeling aside, focusing on the task at hand. We had to respond to the council's demands, and we had to do it on our own terms. But the hum lingered, refusing to be silenced. I reached my quarters, the soft glow of the console lights illuminating the darkened room. I dropped into the chair, my mind racing with possibilities. Who was behind the signal? What did they want from us? And what did it have to do with our response to the council? I brought up the console, poring over the data from the signal. It was faint, barely detectable, but it was there. I could feel it like a pulse beat in the darkness. Suddenly, an alert flashed on the screen. A message from an unknown sender encoded with a cryptic message. I felt a shiver run down my spine as I read the words. "Meet me at the old terraforming station on Mars at midnight. Come alone." The message was brief, but its implications sent a chill down my spine. Who was behind it, and what did they want from me? I looked around the room, feeling a sense of unease. I was being watched, and I knew it. I made a split-second decision. I would go to the meeting alone. I had to know what was going on and who was pulling the strings from behind the scenes. I pushed back from the console, my heart racing with anticipation. The universe was full of secrets, and I was about to uncover one of them. The darkness closed in around me, but I was ready. I was humanity, and I would not be defeated. I stood up, my footsteps echoing through the silent corridor. The stars twinkled like diamonds in the distance, a reminder of the vast and mysterious universe that lay before us. And I knew that I would uncover its secrets, no matter the cost. I made my way through the dimly lit corridors, the hum of the signal still echoing in my mind. The message had set my heart racing, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was walking into a trap. As I approached the old terraforming station on Mars, the darkness seemed to grow thicker. The once abandoned facility loomed before me, its crumbling facade a testament to humanity's forgotten past. I entered the musty hallway, my footsteps echoing off the walls. The air was stale and the silence was oppressive. I felt like an intruder, trespassing on secrets that were meant to remain hidden. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, tall and imposing, with eyes that seemed to pierce through the darkness. "Ambrose Wynter," the figure said, its voice low and gravelly. "I've been waiting for you." I stood tall, my hand instinctively reaching for the comms device on my wrist. But something about the figure's tone told me to hold back. "Who are you?" I asked, my voice steady. The figure stepped forward, its features illuminated by the faint light of a nearby console. I gasped as I realized who it was. "Kalen Vex," I said, my mind racing. The last time I'd seen him, he was a rival entrepreneur, fighting for control of the last remaining resources on Earth. And now, I asked, my eyes locked on his. "Now I'm a messenger," Kalen said, his voice dripping with menace, "from those who would see your empire crumble." I felt a cold dread creeping up my spine. Who was behind Kalen, and what did they want from me? "What do you want?" I asked, trying to keep my tone neutral. "I have information," Kalen said, his eyes glinting with amusement. "Information that could bring your empire to its knees." I took a step forward, my heart pounding in my chest. I knew I was walking into a trap, but I had to know what Kalen had to say. "Tell me," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Kalen smiled, his eyes glinting with malice. And in that moment, I knew I was in grave danger. "The Council isn't the only force at play," he said, his voice dripping with secrecy. "There's another player, one who's been manipulating the strings from behind the scenes." I felt a shiver run down my spine as Kalen's words hung in the air. Who was this mysterious player, and what did they want from humanity? "Who is it?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Kalen leaned forward, his eyes glinting with a knowing glint. "That's for me to know, and for you to find out," he said, his voice dripping with menace. And with that, the meeting was over. I was left standing alone in the darkness, the hum of the signal still echoing in my mind. But I knew I wouldn't be alone for long. I would uncover the secrets, no matter the cost. The universe was full of mysteries, and I was about to unravel one of them. I turned to leave, but Kalen's parting words stopped me in my tracks. "Oh, and Ambrose, you have 48 hours to make your move. After that, the game changes, permanently." I spun around, but he was gone, vanished into the darkness like a ghost. I was left standing alone, the silence of the abandoned facility oppressive. I took a deep breath, my mind racing with the implications of Kalen's words. Who was this mysterious player, and what did they want from humanity? I knew I had to act fast to uncover the truth before it was too late. I made my way back to my ship, my heart pounding in my chest. As I stepped into the cockpit, I felt a sense of determination wash over me. I would not be intimidated, I would not be deterred. I would uncover the secrets, no matter the cost. I set a course for the Galactic Council's headquarters, my mind racing with possibilities. I knew I had to gather my allies to form a plan of action. But as I flew through the void, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, that unseen eyes were upon me. I landed on the Council's planet, my ship surrounded by the gleaming vessels of the galaxy's most powerful factions. I strode into the Council chamber, my eyes scanning the room for any sign of treachery. "Ambrose Wynter, you have a lot of nerve showing up here," one of the counselors sneered. "I've come for answers," I said, my voice firm. "I've been told there's a player behind the scenes manipulating the strings. I want to know who it is." The counselors exchanged uneasy glances, their faces pale. I knew I was onto something. "We know nothing," one of them said, but I could see the lie in their eyes. I leaned forward, my eyes locked on the counselors. "I'll find out one way or another. You can bet your lives on it." The room fell silent, the atmosphere tense. I knew I had to leave, to regroup and plan my next move. But as I turned to leave, I felt a hand on my shoulder. "Ambrose, we need to talk," a voice whispered in my ear. I turned to see Lyra, my trusted ally. Her eyes locked on mine. "What is it?" I asked, my voice low. "I've uncovered something," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, "something that could change the course of human history." I felt a shiver run down my spine as Lyra's words hung in the air. What had she discovered, and how would it affect the fate of humanity? "Tell me," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Lyra glanced around the room, her eyes darting from one counselor to the next. "Not here," she said. "Not now. Meet me on the planet of Xylophoeromen 4 in 24 hours. Come alone." And with that she was gone, vanished into the crowd. I was left standing alone, my heart pounding in my chest. What had Lyra discovered, and what did it mean for humanity's future? I stood frozen, my mind reeling with the implications of Lyra's words. What could she have discovered that was so crucial, so groundbreaking, that she couldn't share it with me here, in the heart of the Galactic Council? I took a deep breath, trying to process the revelation. Lyra was one of my most trusted allies, a brilliant strategist and scientist. If she said it was important, I had to believe her. I glanced around the room, but the counselors were already dispersing, their whispers and murmurs a distant hum. I knew I had to get out of there, to get to Xylophoeromen 4 and uncover the truth. I pushed through the crowd, my heart pounding in my chest. I had to make it to Lyra's meeting on time, to uncover the secrets she had uncovered. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and I was the only one who could tip the scales. I boarded my ship, my mind racing with possibilities. What could Lyra have discovered? Was it a new technology, a powerful ally, or a hidden threat? As I flew through the void, the stars blurring into a haze, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. The mysterious player, the one Kalen had warned me about, seemed to be lurking just out of sight, waiting for me to make a mistake. I pushed the thought aside, focusing on the task at hand. I had to get to Lyra, to uncover the truth and secure humanity's future. I landed on Xylophoeromen 4, the planet's rust-red landscape stretching out before me like an alien grave. I stepped out of my ship, my heart pounding in my chest, and made my way to the designated meeting point. Lyra was already there, her eyes locked on mine as I approached. "Ambrose, we have to talk," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "What is it?" I asked, my own voice low. Lyra glanced around, her eyes darting from one rock to the next. "I've discovered a hidden archive, a repository of knowledge from an ancient civilization. It's buried deep beneath the surface of Xylophoeromen 4, and it holds the key to humanity's future." I felt a shiver run down my spine as Lyra's words hung in the air. What secrets could this archive hold, and how would it change the course of human history? "Let's get to it," I said, my voice firm. Lyra nodded, a determined look in her eyes. "Follow me." We set off, our footsteps echoing through the desolate landscape as we journeyed toward the unknown. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and I was about to uncover a secret that would change everything. The air was thick with anticipation as we made our way through the winding canyon, the rust-red walls closing in around us like sentinels. Lyra led the way, her footsteps light and sure, her eyes fixed on some unseen goal. I followed close behind, my heart pounding in my chest. What secrets lay hidden beneath our feet? What ancient civilization had left behind this treasure trove of knowledge? As we walked, the silence was broken only by the sound of our footsteps and the distant hum of Xylophoeromen's native wildlife. I felt a shiver run down my spine, the hairs on the back of my neck standing on end. Suddenly, Lyra stopped, her hand raised in a warning gesture. I froze, my eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of danger. "What is it?" I whispered, my voice barely audible. Lyra's eyes were fixed on something ahead, her gaze intense. "We're here," she whispered back. I followed her gaze, my eyes scanning the rust-red landscape. And then I saw it, a massive stone portal, half buried in the dusty earth. The portal was ancient, its surface etched with strange symbols and markings that seemed to dance in the flickering light of the twin suns. I felt a shiver run down my spine as I reached out to touch the stone. "This is it," Lyra whispered, her voice awestruck. "This is the entrance to the archive." I felt a surge of excitement, mixed with a healthy dose of trepidation. What secrets lay hidden behind this ancient portal? And what would be the cost of uncovering them? I glanced at Lyra, my eyes locked on hers. "Are you ready for this?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Lyra's eyes flashed with determination. "I was born ready, Ambrose," she said, her voice firm. I nodded, a sense of resolve settling in my chest. Together we pushed forward, the portal creaking open with a slow, ominous groan. As we stepped through the portal, the air seemed to thicken around us, the symbols on the walls blazing with an otherworldly energy. I felt a shiver run down my spine, my heart pounding in my chest. We were about to uncover secrets that had been hidden for centuries. And I had a feeling that our world would never be the same again. The symbols on the walls seemed to pulse with an energy that was both ancient and timeless, as if the very fabric of the universe was awakening from a long slumber. I felt a sense of wonder wash over me, mixed with a healthy dose of trepidation as I gazed upon the wonders that lay before us. Lyra stepped forward, her eyes scanning the chamber with a practiced intensity. "We need to be careful," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the hum of energy that filled the air. "We don't know what kind of security measures are in place." I nodded, my eyes locked on hers. I knew that Lyra had spent years studying the ancient civilizations that once thrived on Xylophoeromen 4, and I trusted her expertise implicitly. As we moved deeper into the chamber, the air seemed to vibrate with an otherworldly power. I could feel it coursing through my veins, like a river of pure energy. The chamber itself was vast, with towering crystal pillars that seemed to stretch up to the very heavens. The walls were lined with ancient artifacts, relics of a civilization that had long since passed into myth and legend. I felt a sense of awe wash over me as I gazed upon the wonders that lay before us. There were devices that seemed to defy the laws of physics, ancient texts that glowed with an ethereal light, and mysterious orbs that pulsed with an energy that seemed to be both ancient and timeless. Lyra led the way, her eyes scanning the chamber with a practiced intensity. We moved slowly, our footsteps echoing off the crystal pillars as we delved deeper into the heart of the archive. As we walked, the symbols on the walls seemed to shift and change, revealing hidden patterns and codes that had been hidden for centuries. I felt a sense of wonder wash over me, mixed with a growing sense of unease. What secrets lay hidden in this ancient archive? And what would be the cost of uncovering them? Suddenly, Lyra stopped, her hand raised in a warning gesture. I froze, my eyes scanning the chamber for any sign of danger. "What is it?" I whispered, my voice barely audible. Lyra's eyes were fixed on something ahead, her gaze intense. "We're not alone," she whispered back. I followed her gaze, my eyes scanning the chamber for any sign of movement, and then I saw a figure, cloaked in shadows, watching us with cold, calculating eyes. My heart raced with anticipation as I turned to face Lyra. "Who is it?" I whispered, my voice barely audible. Lyra's eyes were fixed on the figure, her gaze intense. "I don't know," she whispered back, "but I think we're about to find out." The figure stepped forward, its features slowly coming into focus. It was a woman, her skin deathly pale, her eyes black as coal. "Welcome, Ambrose Wynter," she said, her voice dripping with malice. "I've been waiting for you." I felt a shiver run down my spine as I gazed upon the woman. Who was she, and what did she want? "What do you want?" I asked, my voice firm. The woman smiled, her eyes glinting with amusement. "I want to show you the secrets of the archive," she said, "and I want to make you an offer you can't refuse." I felt a sense of trepidation wash over me as I gazed upon the woman. What secrets lay hidden in this ancient archive? And what would be the cost of uncovering them? Her eyes seemed to bore into my very soul, as if she could see the deepest desires of my heart. I felt a sense of unease wash over me, but I stood tall, my gaze locked on hers. "What kind of offer?" I asked, my voice firm. The woman smiled, her lips curving upward in a cold, calculated smile. "An offer of power," she said, "an offer of knowledge." I felt a sense of temptation wash over me, but I knew that I had to be careful. I had to know what I was getting myself into. "What kind of power?" I asked, my voice cautious. The woman laughed, her voice like ice. "The power to shape the course of history," she said. "The power to bend the universe to your will." I felt a shiver run down my spine as I gazed upon the woman. She was offering me the one thing that I had always wanted: the power to shape the course of history. But at what cost? I looked at Lyra, her eyes fixed on the woman with a mixture of fascination and fear. I knew that I had to make a decision, and I had to make it fast. "What do you want in return?" I asked, my voice firm. The woman smiled, her eyes glinting with amusement. "Oh, I want very little," she said. "Just a small favor." I raised an eyebrow, my heart pounding in my chest. "What kind of favor?" I asked. The woman laughed, her voice like ice. "You'll find out soon enough," she said. "For now, let's just say that it's a small price to pay for the power to shape the course of history." I felt a sense of unease wash over me as I gazed upon the woman. I knew that I had to be careful, that I had to think carefully before I made a decision. But I also knew that I couldn't resist the temptation. I had to know what secrets lay hidden in this ancient archive, and I had to know what kind of power she was offering me. "Okay," I said, my voice firm. "I'll take the offer." The woman smiled, her eyes glinting with amusement. "Excellent," she said. "Then let us begin." With that, she turned and disappeared into the shadows, leaving me with more questions than answers. What secrets lay hidden in this ancient archive? And what would be the cost of uncovering them? I looked at Lyra, her eyes fixed on me with a mixture of fascination and fear. I knew that I had to be careful, that I had to think carefully before I made a decision. But I also knew that I couldn't resist the temptation. I had to know what secrets lay hidden in this ancient archive, and I had to know what kind of power she was offering me. "Let's get started," I said, my voice firm. Lyra nodded, her eyes fixed on me with a mixture of determination and fear. Together, we followed the woman into the heart of the archive, ready to uncover the secrets that lay hidden within. As we walked, the symbols on the walls seemed to shift and change, revealing hidden patterns and codes that had been hidden for centuries. I felt a sense of wonder wash over me, mixed with a growing sense of unease. What secrets lay hidden in this ancient archive? And what would be the cost of uncovering them? I pushed the thoughts aside, focusing on the task at hand. I had to know what secrets lay hidden in this ancient archive, and I had to know what kind of power she was offering me. We walked for what felt like hours, the air thick with an otherworldly energy. I could feel it coursing through my veins, like a river of pure power. Finally, we stopped in front of a large crystal door, adorned with ancient symbols and markings. The woman turned to face us, her eyes glinting with amusement. "This is it," she said, "the heart of the archive." I felt a sense of anticipation wash over me as I gazed upon the door. What secrets lay hidden beyond? The woman raised her hand and the door slid open with a soft hiss. I stepped forward, my heart pounding in my chest. As I walked through the doorway, I felt a sense of wonder wash over me. The room was filled with ancient artifacts and relics, devices that defied the laws of physics and texts that glowed with an ethereal light. But it was what lay at the center of the room that caught my attention. A large, glowing crystal orb, pulsing with an energy that seemed to be both ancient and timeless. I felt a sense of awe wash over me as I gazed upon the orb. This was it, the secret to unlocking the power of the universe. The woman smiled, her eyes glinting with amusement. "This is the key to shaping the course of history," she said. "This is the power that I am offering you." I felt a sense of temptation wash over me, mixed with a growing sense of unease. What would be the cost of wielding this power? But I knew that I couldn't resist the temptation. I had to know what kind of power lay hidden within this ancient archive. I reached out, my hand reaching for the orb. As I touched it, I felt a sense of energy coursing through my veins like a river of pure power. I knew that I had made a deal with the devil, but I also knew that I had to see this through. I was Ambrose Wynter, the man who would shape the course of history. And I was ready to do whatever it took to achieve my goal. As I held the orb, I felt an incredible surge of energy coursing through my body. It was as if I had tapped into the very fabric of the universe, and the power was intoxicating. I raised my gaze to meet the woman's, and for a moment, I saw a glimmer of something akin to admiration in her eyes. She nodded, as if in approval. "Very well," she said. "You have taken the first step. Now let us begin your education." With that, she gestured to a series of ancient artifacts scattered around the room. Each one seemed to pulse with a unique energy, and I could feel the weight of their power calling to me. I spent the next several hours learning about the devices, each one revealing a new facet of the universe's secrets. I discovered how to bend time and space to my will, how to harness the power of stars and galaxies, and how to manipulate the very fabric of reality itself. As I delved deeper into the secrets of the archive, I began to realize the true extent of the power that lay before me. I was no longer just a charismatic entrepreneur. I was a force of nature, capable of shaping the course of history on a whim. But with each new revelation came a growing sense of unease. I was acutely aware that the power I now wielded came at a steep cost. The woman's warning echoed in my mind. A small favor in exchange for this power. What kind of favor could possibly be worth the risk of unleashing such immense power? As the hours turned into days, I became increasingly obsessed with unlocking the secrets of the archive. Lyra watched me with a mix of awe and concern, but I couldn't stop myself. I was addicted to the power that coursed through my veins. One night, as I pored over ancient texts, I stumbled upon a cryptic passage. It spoke of a hidden chamber deep within the archive, containing a secret that could change the course of history forever. I couldn't resist the temptation. I had to know what lay hidden within that chamber. "Lyra," I whispered, my voice barely audible over the hum of the artifacts. "I need to find something. Follow me." Lyra nodded, her eyes fixed on me with a mixture of determination and fear. Together, we set out to uncover the secrets of the hidden chamber. As we navigated the labyrinthine corridors of the archive, I felt a growing sense of trepidation. What lay hidden within that chamber? And what would be the cost of uncovering it? I pushed the thoughts aside, focusing on the thrill of discovery. I was Ambrose Wynter, the man who would shape the course of history, and I was ready to do whatever it took to achieve my goal. We reached the entrance to the hidden chamber, an unassuming door hidden behind a tapestry of ancient symbols. I felt a shiver run down my spine as I raised my hand to open it. The door creaked open, revealing a chamber filled with an otherworldly energy. At the center of the room, a glowing pedestal supported a small, intricately carved box. I felt a sense of anticipation wash over me as I gazed upon the box. This was it, the secret that could change the course of history forever. But as I reached for the box, I heard a voice echoing from the shadows. "You shouldn't have come here, Ambrose Wynter," it said. I turned, my heart pounding in my chest. Who was this voice and what did they want from me? "Who are you?" I demanded, my voice firm. The figure stepped forward, its features illuminated by the soft glow of the chamber. It was a being unlike any I had ever seen, its body a fluid mass of energy and matter. "I am the guardian of this archive," it said. "And you, Ambrose Wynter, are a threat to the very fabric of reality." I felt a sense of unease wash over me as I gazed upon the guardian. What did it mean? And what would be the cost of crossing it? The guardian took a step closer, its energy pulsing with an ancient power. I knew that I had to be careful, that I had to think carefully before I made a decision. But I also knew that I couldn't back down. I was Ambrose Wynter, the man who would shape the course of history, and I was ready to do whatever it took to achieve my goal. "I won't be intimidated," I said, my voice firm. "I'll do whatever it takes to unlock the secrets of this archive." The guardian smiled, its energy pulsing with amusement. "Very well, Ambrose Wynter," it said. "Let us see who will emerge victorious." With that, the guardian vanished, leaving me to face the secrets of the hidden chamber alone. I knew that I had to be careful, that I had to think carefully before I made a decision. But I also knew that I couldn't resist the temptation. I had to know what secrets lay hidden within that chamber. I reached out, my hand grasping for the box. As I touched it, I felt a sense of energy coursing through my veins, like a river of pure power. I knew that I had made a deal with the devil, but I also knew that I had to see this through. I was Ambrose Wynter, the man who would shape the course of history, and I was ready to do whatever it took to achieve my goal. As I grasped the box, I felt the energy coursing through my veins, like a raging river of pure power. The secrets of the universe were mine for the taking, and I knew that I had to unlock them. I lifted the lid, and a brilliant light spilled out, illuminating the chamber. I felt a sense of awe wash over me as I gazed upon the contents of the box. Inside, I saw a small, glowing crystal, pulsing with an otherworldly energy. It was as if I had unlocked the very fabric of reality itself. I reached out, my hand trembling with anticipation. This was it, the secret that could change the course of history forever. As I touched the crystal, I felt a surge of power unlike anything I had ever experienced. I was no longer just a charismatic entrepreneur. I was a god, capable of shaping the course of history on a whim. But as I stood there, bathed in the radiant light of the crystal, I felt a growing sense of unease. What kind of power was this? And what would be the cost of wielding it? Suddenly, the chamber began to shake and the air was filled with an ominous energy. I knew that I had to be careful, that I had to think carefully before I made a decision. But it was too late. The guardian reappeared, its energy pulsing with ancient power. "You have made a grave mistake, Ambrose Wynter," it said. "You have unleashed a power that cannot be contained. The course of history is now forever changed." I felt a sense of dread wash over me as I gazed upon the guardian. What had I done? And what would be the consequences of my actions? The chamber began to dissolve around me, and I felt myself being pulled through a vortex of energy. I was no longer in control, and I knew that I had to think fast if I was to survive. But as I emerged from the vortex, I found myself in a world unlike any I had ever seen. The skies were filled with swirling clouds of energy, and the air was thick with an otherworldly power. I knew that I had been transported to a realm beyond our own, a realm of ancient power and magic. And I knew that I had to be careful, that I had to think carefully before I made a decision. But as I looked around, I saw a figure standing before me. It was a woman, her eyes blazing with an inner power. "Welcome, Ambrose Wynter," she said. "I have been waiting for you. You have unleashed a power that cannot be contained, and now you must learn to wield it." I felt a sense of trepidation wash over me as I gazed upon the woman. Who was she, and what did she want from me? But as I looked into her eyes, I knew that I had to trust her. I had to learn to wield this power, no matter the cost. "Teach me," I said, my voice firm. "Teach me how to harness this power. Teach me how to shape the course of history." The woman smiled, her eyes blazing with an inner fire. "Very well, Ambrose Wynter," she said. "Let us begin your education." As she spoke, the woman raised her hand and the air around me began to distort, like the surface of a pond struck by a stone. The swirling clouds of energy in the sky seemed to coalesce, taking on a life of their own. I felt the power of the crystal coursing through me, responding to the woman's presence. "First, you must understand the nature of this power," she said, her voice low and hypnotic. "It is not a tool to be wielded, but a force to be harnessed. It is a wild thing, unpredictable and unforgiving." I nodded, my heart racing with excitement. I had never felt so alive, so attuned to the universe. "The key to controlling this power lies within yourself," the woman continued. "You must learn to quiet your mind, to still the turbulent waters of your thoughts. Only then can you tap into the true potential of the crystal." As she spoke, the woman reached out and touched my forehead. I felt a sudden sense of calm wash over me, as if my mind had been cleansed of all doubt and fear. "Now, focus your thoughts," she said. "Focus on the power within you and let it flow." I closed my eyes, taking a deep breath. I felt the energy of the crystal coursing through me like a river of pure intent. I focused on it, letting it build and build until I felt myself becoming one with the power. When I opened my eyes, I saw that the woman was watching me, a look of intense scrutiny on her face. "Well done," she said. "You have taken the first step, but there is much more to learn, much more to master." I nodded, feeling a sense of determination rise within me. I was ready to learn, ready to unlock the secrets of the universe. "Teach me," I said, my voice firm. "Teach me everything you know." The woman smiled, her eyes glinting with amusement. "Very well, Ambrose Wynter," she said. "Let us begin your education in earnest." And with that, she reached out and took my hand, leading me into a realm of ancient power and magic. I knew that I would never be the same again, that my destiny was forever tied to the secrets of the universe. As we walked, the world around me began to shift and change, like a tapestry being rewoven. I saw glimpses of ancient civilizations, of powerful beings who had wielded the power of the crystal. I saw the birth of stars and galaxies, the dance of cosmic forces, and I knew that I was just beginning to scratch the surface of the secrets that lay hidden within the crystal. I was Ambrose Wynter, the master of my own destiny, and I knew that I would stop at nothing to unlock the secrets of the universe.